Greetings, Benjamin J. from Ben's Trains with another in the series. Well, what you're looking at, of course, is a Marx 591. And this is very similar to an 898, but smaller, lighter. There are no markers on it. Has a plastic front. Actually, a lower end locomotive. Anyway, I got the shell, I don't know, a couple of days ago. And came in a box of parts that I bought. So I figured what I would do is put that motor in it. As you see, this is the one with the sponge contactor and the black nylon intermediate gear. Mismatched push rods, as you can see, plain silver on this side, embossed on this side, made completely out of junk parts. But I wanted to get this locomotive up and running, so I figured this would be a good choice. Anyway, just got this assembled, wanted to put it on the rail, take it around. I ran this on the bench. I just got this put together, put a new lens in it, and not perfect, but it's in fairly decent shape. There was a big ding in it right there that I had to straighten out, as you can probably tell. Really, really badly bent when it arrived. And it came in a box of parts that I bought. And in fact, I bought that box of parts just to have a new shell to put that motor in. Now I've got another motor built and ready to go. And when I saw this, I figured I'd go ahead and buy it. And it came with some parts that I needed, so it's in decent shape. The reason it was in that box of parts is, I mean, this thing was almost folded. I don't know if you can tell how badly that was bent, but it was really, really tweaked. And a lot of times you have to be careful bending this sheet metal. If you try to bend it quickly, it'll split. Especially right here where there's an angled bend. And it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. I just touched it up with some ink marker, and it was really bent. Anyway, I just thought I'd do a quick video on this. It's reminiscent of the 994 as far as the two embossed trucks on the front and the one on the rear. Much, much smaller, and actually smaller than the 898. And of course, a plastic front. It's pretty basic locomotive, stamped steel, but it was a great place to use that motor. So I just got this installed. Let's put this on, and power is on. Let's take it around. Zoom, zoom. That motor wants to run. You can tell that. As soon as you apply power to it, it starts moving. So total cost was $6. Pretty hard to beat that. As you see, it runs good, it looks nice. Now this is some bottom of the line Marx stuff, but it's a nice stamped steel locomotive shell. It beats plastic. So whenever I can, I upgrade from plastic to metal. It's not that I have anything against the plastic locomotives, they're actually quite nice. But I have an affinity for these stamped steel locomotives. I had one when I was a kid, and I've always liked them. They're plain, they're really basic, but they're almost indestructible, and it was a good use for that motor. Anyway, it looks nice, that being a relative term. It doesn't look bad at all. Like I said, it was really badly bent, which is why I got it cheap. And like I said, you have to be really careful straightening this sheet metal. If you try to just tweak it back into position, it will very likely split, especially at an embossed point, like right there. So you have to do it gradually and slowly. I use a pair of opposed jaw pliers to straighten this out. I mean, this thing was really badly bent. But it came out all right. It was a great place to park that motor. It gave me a new locomotive made entirely out of junk. And like I said, I put a new lens in it. And it doesn't look too bad at all. Really plain Jane locomotive. I mean, these are really bottom of the line Marx locomotives. But like I said, they're virtually indestructible. They're never going to break. If they take a tumble off the table, they'll usually get bent, but you can straighten them out, which is very likely what happened there. Not sure, but that was a bad bend. Anyway, came in a box of parts, just various and sundry parts with this shell in it. So I figured it would be a perfect place to put that motor. And motor is built completely out of parts, mismatched push rods. It has the new nylon intermediate gear, but the nice thing about it is it's running. It's actually running really well. Now I ran this on the bench. I just put this together. So I thought I'd do a quick video. You know, as I always stress, don't overlook the junk. This cost almost nothing. And here it is running on the rail. And I had the fun of building the motor and then assembling this locomotive literally out of junk parts. So I'm actually quite pleased with it. When you can get something cheap, that's always a plus. And when you can take something that you bought for almost nothing and put it all together to make something out of it, it makes you feel good. And it's a lot of fun, and you can kick back after you get this thing put together and watch it run. It's nothing special. It's nothing special at all. Like I said, it's a very plain Jane, simple locomotive, plastic front, but it has a new lens, it has a new motor, it's repaired, that being a relative term, and it's up and running, and actually running really well, as you can see. So it's always worth the time and the effort it takes to do stuff like this. It's nothing special, it's nothing spectacular as far as a Marx locomotive, but it's a running locomotive that total cost was about $6. So really difficult to beat that. And when I saw it, I figured, you know, this would be the perfect use for one of these rebuilt motors. And it was just a damaged shell, but as you see, it actually looks quite respectable. And I just used an ink marker to touch it up. Haven't done much to it, it just got here. And like I said, I wanted to use that motor. I figured this would be the absolute perfect place to put it. It was inexpensive, it was a lot of fun, and it gives me another locomotive that is up and running. So just a quick video on building locomotives out of junk parts. And trust me, this is about as junky as you can get. This was just junk parts out of the parts box. A new nylon intermediate gear from Grossman's, and a $6 shell that I found on eBay. And far from perfect, but it actually doesn't look too bad. So I'm happy with it. So it gives me a new locomotive made entirely out of junk. I had the fun of building it. That's the neat thing about it. So just a quick follow-up. This is a Marx 591. And the difference between this and the 595 is the 595 has a cast front, and of course it has the side markers on it. So basically it's the same locomotive, and you can see it's styled exactly on the 994, just incredibly smaller. And a really simple stamped sheet metal locomotive. In this case it was really badly bent, but it was worth the time it took to repair it, and the perfect place to use one of those rebuilt motors. And from a foot away you can't tell that the motor is made out of junk parts. And it runs well, it runs forward only, but it runs, it looks nice, and it was dirt cheap. So just want to do a quick video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email. BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.